What's up, guys? So I'm just taking a little look at the new champion Quinn and Valor on the PBE. Just remember, this could change at any time. However, most of her mechanics are probably going to stay the same. I'm not really going to take too much of a look at her scalings or her base damage on any of her spells, because that most likely is going to be the thing that gets changed, if anything. So mostly just going to look at the mechanics of this champion. So let's have a look at her passive. So Valor periodically marks enemies as vulnerable for 4.5 seconds. Quinn's first attack against vulnerable targets will deal 75 damage. So that's just a bunch of extra damage when the bird automatically comes down and marks a target. You would have saw it on the blue buff there. So her Q, there you go, you saw it on the little golem there. It just, and then you explode the mark and it does extra damage. That's about it really with the thing, and it comes up and does it again. So with her Q, it's a blind, and the base damage of it is roughly about the same as Graves' Q. So use that as like a reference. It's actually the same as Graves' Q when you get the maximum amount of damage from it, which is actually pretty nice. It's quite nice base damage so far. We'll have to see if they change that or not though. So her Q, it flies in a line and strikes the first enemy in the path, and it's the bird that fires in the line, and then it attacks all enemies in that area. So it's kind of like an AoE at the end of the skill shot. Does a bunch of physical damage, and it blinds them for 1.5 seconds. So a blind in bot lane. Well, speaking about bot lane and whether it's an AD carry or not, we're not entirely sure whether Quinn and Valor is an AD carry yet. But Riot hasn't released their official stance per se on whether they want her to be an AD carry or not. Because usually like in the champion spotlight, Freak will show what kind of role he plays it as and what it's sort of intended to be. So we're not really sure if it's going to be top, mid, or AD carry. It's definitely not going to be jungle, and it's definitely not going to be support. But I think she has potential to be an AD carry, definitely. So blind in bot lane, potentially. Many of you guys will know that Corki used to actually have a blind on his Q, and that was when he was ridiculously OP. Riot ended up removing it, so not quite sure. So I'll just do that on the blue buff for you guys to see what it looks like. There you go, you can see the little blind icon, just does a bit of damage. That's about it really. So her W is kind of like Ash's E. I'll go out of range of the blue buff and hopefully it'll show it. There you go. So it just shows who's there. It can be useful for checking the brushes and bots if you're going to get lane ganked, getting vision on someone for whatever reason. But there's passives behind it as well. So attacking a vulnerable target will increase Quinn's attack speed by 20% for 3 seconds. So Quinn is the woman, the girl running around with the crossbow, and Valor is the bird. So 20% for 3 seconds, and I'm pretty sure that goes up as you level it as well. So I mean, it's not like an amazing steroid like Tristana's Q or anything, but it seems like Quinn and Valor is not going to be an amazing late game carry regardless. Anyway, I think really her strength is going to be in the early game so far anyway. She seems to have a fairly strong early game. So passive as Valor gains 40% attack speed. Of course, this will all go up as you level it. It gives you more attack speed when you're in the bird form, so you can turn into a bird with the ultimate. We'll get to that in a minute. And of course, the active reveals a large area. And her E. So her E is basically... without it, if it was something else, I don't think she could be an AD carry, because it's basically what's going to help her get away from people and kite bruises. So she dashes to an enemy, dealing some physical damage and slowing the target's movement speed by 70%. Now this is level 1. I'm not sure. Once again, it's on the PBE, so we're not sure what the exact stats on every spell and everything is going to be when it's released. But it slows them and it deals some physical damage. The effect diminishes over 2 seconds, so it slowly gets worse over 2 seconds. Upon reaching the target, she leaps off and lands near her maximum attack range, which is 525. It's the same as Graves, so her attack range isn't too small to be an AD carry. Okay, so don't worry about that. So she lands near her maximum attack range from it. Valor will immediately mark this enemy as vulnerable, so you immediately get the passive of W. Attacking a vulnerable target will increase his Quinn's attack speed by 20%. Of course, that scales up. So immediately do that, which is awesome as well. So as Valor performs the same attack, but does not mark or leap off the target. So it doesn't mark them and give them the extra attack speed, because you don't need the mark anyway as the bird, and it just takes you to them. I'll show you that in a minute. So what exactly you would do is you would attack. You'd be kiting a bruiser. Sorry, my ping is like 170 because it's on the American servers, so it's not ideal. But you can see what it does is there's a little line there, and the edge of the line closest towards me is going to be where you'll go back to. So what you do is you'd attack someone, wait until they get close to you, and then flip backwards, and it takes you back to your max attack range. And that's what you would use to kite bruisers, really. And the cooldown on it is 12 seconds at level 1, so I presume once you've leveled it up a bunch, the cooldown would go down quite a bit, which is fairly strong, actually. So that's really what's going to make her be able to kite bruisers and stuff. Of course, with red buff as well, that'll be more helpful. And not to mention, her Q will help you fight bruisers because it will blind them. They can't auto-attack you. For example, Aurelia whacks her W1, starts doing tons of damage to you. You just blind her, and almost for the rest of her W cooldown, it won't do any damage. That's just a little example where I could see it being useful. I'd like to actually play a full game as her, but unfortunately my ping's 170 because I live in the UK, so I can't actually do that. So let's get on to her ultimate a little bit. And this is the kind of thing that makes me wonder if she's actually an AD carry or not, her ultimate. It makes you melee, so having an ultimate which has nothing to do with being an AD carry is kind of strange, but I think it's still possible. I mean, for example, you could... So it turns... Let's have a look at it first. So, first cast, Valor replaces Quinn on the battlefield as a mobile melee attacker for 20 seconds. Valor can move through units and gains 80% movement speed, decreased gradually to 20% when in combat. That's quite a lot of movement speed. You can use it to chase people or escape, for example, which is kind of nice. So the second cast, or when the time runs out, so if Sky Strike has not been cast before this ability ends, it will be cast automatically. So this will get cast automatically if you don't do it yourself. Quinn returns. She returns to her human form to perform Sky Strike, dealing 120 to 240 at level 1 physical damage to all enemies in a large area, increased based on how much health they're missing. So that's kind of strange because it's not really a typical AD carry item, AD carry like ability really, because it's like an AoE around the melee area. So perhaps you could use it on a bruiser that's going to that you'd want to do some damage to, that's on top of you while you're in bird form, if you know what I mean. So let's use it. Boom! Turn into a bird. You get the increased movement speed, as you can see. The E, it just goes straight to them, deals some damage. The Q, it does basically the blind and the physical damage, but around AoE in the area, you know. And the W is the same. And you saw the Sky Strike stuff there as well. So yeah, that's basically her abilities. Whether she's viable or not as an AD carry, I think she's certainly viable as an AD carry. It's just a bit of a very, very different AD carry. Definitely not good late game, and yeah, we'll have to see. Well, she wouldn't be bad late game. She wouldn't be like Urgot level late game. She'd still have some sort of viability as an AD carry late game, simply because of her having an attack speed steroid. So that's just generally a sign of being an AD carry, is having an attack speed steroid, and of course being ranged. Her range is 525 once again. I certainly think she can be viable as an AD carry, but we'll have to see. There's no real way for me to test how like strong she is against other AD carries, because public beta server really actually isn't a competitive environment, as you can imagine. But yeah, I definitely think she can be an AD carry, and we'll just have to wait till she gets released to see how strong she is. But yeah, thanks for watching, guys, and if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to leave a like and hit subscribe.